Hi, I'm Alisa, and today I'm going to lead you through a lower body and hip focused yoga flow. So we are going to get started on all fours. And before we get started, I will say that if you have a set of yoga blocks, they will be very helpful today. If you don't have a set of yoga blocks, that's okay. Maybe position yourself near a wall, or you could have a chair nearby that you can use if you need a little bit of extra support. So, coming to all fours. If this feels like too much under your knees, you can always fold your mat over or throw a towel or a blanket under your knees. Heel of the hand under the shoulder, knees under the hips. And we'll just start with a few rounds of cat-cow. So, inhale, drop the belly, gaze forward. And then exhale, pull the belly all the way up, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale, drop the belly, gaze forward, draw those shoulder blades together behind you. Exhale, lift the belly all the way up, chin to chest. A few more rounds. You can move with your own breath here. You will notice throughout class today that I do cue inhales and exhales. If that's helpful for you, you can follow along. And if it's not helpful, allow it to simply be a reminder to keep breathing throughout class. Let's do one more round here. All right, from here we're gonna shift to down dog. So tucking those toes, lifting your hips back and up into down dog. If this is uncomfortable for any reason, you can stay in all fours, or you can find child's pose where the knees stay on the ground and the forehead will find the mat. So in your down dog here, you're welcome to pedal the legs side to side. Maybe shift the hips side to side if that type of movement feels good. All right, we're gonna walk our feet up to the top of the mat. Bring your hands to your shins. Inhale, flat back. So pressing into the shins, draw your shoulder blades together behind you. Find a neutral spine. And then we'll fold down. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, flat back. You can always have a bend in your knees in a forward fold. Whatever you need to do for your hamstrings is totally okay. And we'll fold down. Let's do one more time like that. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. So we're gonna stay in this forward fold here. We haven't warmed up too much, so a nice bend in the knees is totally okay. In fact, I would like you to bend your knees deep enough so that at least your fingertips are reaching the mat. This is an opportunity if you need to raise the ground up a little bit. You could also grab a block if you have it. So I want you to wiggle your feet out so they're just a little bit wider than hip width. So they'll still be on your mat, just a little bit wider than you would normally stand, and continue to fold forward here. And then we're gonna take our fingertips or our hands, whatever is touching the ground, and I want you to walk them over to the right side of the mat. So bring them actually right off the mat and kind of a diagonal line from your pinky toe there. And then with the arms reaching out, you can fold down, adding in a bit of a side body stretch to our hamstring stretch today. Inhale back to center. And then walk your hands to the left side of the mat and fold down here. Coming back to center, and we're going to inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach those arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, hands to prayer. So I'm going to turn to face the camera. You can stay facing forward on your mat at this point. Feet are going to be a little bit wider than hip width apart. Toes pointing out slightly, and we're going to come down into a squat position. So depending on your hip and knee flexibility, this is going to look a little bit different for everybody. So if you need a little extra help, yoga block underneath you could provide a little bit of extra support. You can also stay a little bit higher up. It's going to be more of a leg workout, but it will be a little bit easier if you don't quite have the flexibility. So we're finding that kind of traditional yoga squat, hands come to the elbows come to the inside of the knees, and our hands are going to come to prayer position. So from here, we're just holding this for a little bit. This is a pretty deep position for most people's bodies. So if it doesn't look quite like mine, that's okay. You might be a little bit higher up here, and that's okay too. If it feels like too much in the legs, you can come out of it and then come back into it when you're ready. So I like to just kind of sway side to side here, moving deeper into one hip and then the other. Do one more breath here. Hands coming to the earth or to your block. We're going to lift those hips up, forward fold. So we're going to move between a forward fold and a squat. So heels come in slightly, and we're going to squat down. And then hips lift up, forward fold. Coming back to your squat, and then to your forward fold. We'll do it once more. Squat and forward fold. All right, hands can come to the hips and just stand right up in a way that's comfortable for you. And now everybody can step your right foot to the back of the mat, and we're going to bring our feet out wide now. So definitely wider than your hips. We're in a wide-legged stance. We're going to bring those heels in slightly, and again, we're squatting down here. So this will look different in everybody's bodies. So some of you may be up here, hands can be resting on the thighs. Some of you may be able to come down nice and low. In that case, your elbows can rest on your thighs. So again, we're just going to kind of find a little bit of movement side to side here. Keeping those hips as low as you can. We're going to be holding this for a bit. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a burn in these legs. All right, let's come to neutral. We're going to add a side bend into our wide squat position. So if you're not down on your forearms, that's okay. We'll bring our hands to our knees, and we'll start with our right side. We'll inhale that right arm up and over. So keeping the hips low, adding that side bend in. Once you're into the side bend, it may be easier to come down onto the elbow. You may also be able to drop right down, bring that hand to the earth or to a block. All right, coming back to neutral, continuing to hold that squat position, and we will switch sides. So the left arm will reach up and over. Keep those hips nice and low. If it's comfortable, you can drop that hand down. All right, coming back up to center. Hands can come to the knees. Now we're gonna move between a wide-legged squat and a wide-legged forward fold. So similar to how we did in the narrower stance. So fingertips to the earth or to a block. I'm gonna grab a block, so we're in that squat position. We're gonna lift those hips up, straighten out the legs, fold forward. And then again, come back into your squat. Lifting up. Squatting down, lowering those hips. Straightening those legs. One last time. Bend at the knee. And then straighten those legs. This time we'll hold it. Shift your feet so that they are now parallel to each other instead of the toes pointing out. And bring the hands down either to a block or the mat underneath you. We're going to add another side stretch here today. So we'll walk our hands over to the right side of the mat. They can be kind of right where that right foot is, or maybe a little bit further than the right foot. Continue to fold forward, just adding that stretch in. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, opposite side. So walk those fingertips over beside that left foot and fold down. You can also bring your hands right to your foot or even to your ankle there to grab onto if you want. Coming back to center, bring your hands to your hips, bend your knees slightly, and we're just gonna come to stand all the way up, turning back to face the front of our mat. We'll inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. On the next inhale, step back to plank or half plank position. Exhale, chaturanga, lowering all the way down to our bellies, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Inhale, cobra pose. And then we'll exhale back to down dog or child's pose. Taking a few breaths here. And we'll keep moving. So we'll start by inhaling the right leg up towards the sky, three-legged dog. And then exhale that right foot through between the hands. It might not make it all the way there in the first step. You can always use your hands to bring it up. We're gonna drop that back knee. Again here, if that's uncomfortable on the knee, you can throw a blanket or a pillow underneath your knee. I am going to grab my blocks. And we're just gonna be in a low lunge position to start here. So trying to lift your chest up. If you don't have blocks, your hands can rest on that front knee. Draw the shoulder blades together behind you. Think about squeezing your inner thighs together just a little bit and engaging that left glute. That's gonna keep those hips nice and square to the top of the mat. And breathing here. All right, this is where the blocks or something to raise the ground up is going to be really helpful. We're going to add a side bend into our low lunge position. So we're going to keep the left hand on the block to start, and we're going to inhale the right arm up and over. So we're not twisting our body, we're actually coming into a side bend, just like we did in our wide-legged forward fold and in our narrow forward fold. So you may be able to move that block a little bit further away or maybe down to a lower setting. You may be able to find your fingertips all the way to the ground. All right, we'll inhale back to center, switching sides now so that right hand will come down, left arm will come up and over into a side bend. Keep breathing here. Inhale, back to center. So again, grabbing your blocks. If you don't have your blocks, fingertips can be on the ground. And we're gonna shift our hips back into a half split position. So keeping the heel on the mat, the toes will come up. Thinking about pulling the toes back. That's gonna help you activate through the back of your calf and your hamstring. And then from here, you may be able to fold down a little bit. You also may be up nice and high, and that's completely okay. If you have a bend in the knee, that's also completely fine. Just make sure you're feeling the stretch through the back of your leg. So we're gonna move between our low lunge and our half split position. So I find this a little bit easier without blocks, but you can completely keep your hands on the blocks. We're gonna bend that front knee, come into our lunge position, and then shift our hips back into that half split. We'll do that 3 times. So bend that front knee, shift the hips forward. And then bring the hips back, straighten out that front leg. One more time, bend that front knee and shift the hips back. All right, bending that front knee again, we're coming back to low lunge and we're gonna move into lizard pose. So you're gonna bring both hands to the inside of that front leg. Again, blocks may be very, very helpful here. So some of you are gonna be up nice and high. Some of you are gonna feel comfortable in your hips to lower yourself down. So you're sinking your upper body to the inside of that front leg. You may be able to come down on your forearm, either on the blocks or right onto the mat. And just sink into that hip stretch there. Keep breathing the whole time. All right, coming back upright, we're gonna move into pigeon pose. So the right foot, you're gonna walk it to the left side of the mat. and drop that shin down. So this pose will become more accessible the closer your front foot, so that right foot is to your hips. So you may want to tuck that foot right in close to your hips. You may have the ability to keep that foot a little bit further away. Again, blocks, most of us, our glute is not going to be touching the earth here. And if you want a little bit of extra stability, you can throw that block underneath your sit bone so you don't feel quite as wobbly in this position. So my back leg is straight, and my front leg is bent in front of me. So I'm in that pigeon pose. If this does not feel good in your knees or your hips, please don't do it. Instead, I'll have you swing around, and you can actually do it from a seated position. So you're gonna hook your right leg on that left knee, and you can have a lot more control here of how deep you are without the weight of your upper body leaning down. So please switch to this if you need. So if pigeon pose is feeling good, you can sink deeper into it. So that would look like coming down onto your forearms on a block or on the mat. Some of you may be able to come down right onto your chest, so that entire upper body is on the ground, resting the forehead. Even if your upper body isn't on the mat, if you are close enough that you can rest your forehead on a block, it will make this stretch a lot nicer. Just taking that weight out of your neck makes a really big difference. All right, we're gonna come back upright. I'm gonna have you plant your hands on the earth, tuck that back toe, lift the back knee off the ground. This might be a little bit tricky, but if you can, I want you to lift the hips up, draw that right knee into your chest, and then step that right foot back. You'll find yourself in plank. If that looked like too much, just make your way to plank, however works best for you. And we'll move through one vinyasa here. So exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. From here, we'll do the other side. Inhale that left leg up. Exhale the foot through between the hands, dropping the back knee, grabbing your blocks if you have them. We're coming into that low lunge. So lifting our chest up nice and tall. Hands can be on the knees or on the blocks. Squeeze your inner thighs together, slightly engage that right glute. And breathe here. All right, we're gonna come into our side bend. So right hand will come down first. We'll reach our left arm up and over, adding that side bend into our low lunge. Inhale, back to center. We'll switch sides. So that right arm is going to reach up and over. Coming back to center. We're gonna shift back to our half split. So straightening out that front leg, shift the hips back, draw the left toes back. Again, squeeze those inner thighs together slightly. It's gonna square off those hips to the front of the mat. Once your base is stable, you may be able to fold deeper into that front leg, either lowering your blocks down or coming off your blocks. You can also use your leg here if you don't have blocks available. All right, again on this side, we're gonna move between that low lunge and that half split. So bending that front knee, shift the hips forward, and then shift those hips back, straighten out that front leg. Bending the knee, low lunge. Exhale back, half split. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, half split. Coming back to our low lunge, bringing those hands to the inside of your leg, grabbing a block if you need it. We're gonna come into that lizard position. So think about sinking your chest to the inside of that leg. And again, as you feel comfortable, as you move into the stretch, you can go a little bit deeper, maybe coming down onto your forearms on a block. Or right down onto the mat. All right, we'll come back upright. So we're coming into pigeon pose on the other side. You know it now from last time we did it. So if you need to sit down and take that modified seated position, please do that. If you're able to do it on the mat, we're gonna walk that left foot over to the right side of the mat, dropping the knee. A block can go under that left glute if you need the extra stability. You'll be able to see a little bit better on this side what I meant about that left knee, so left foot. The further the foot is away from this back hip, the more challenging the stretch is. So if you tuck that foot in towards the right hip, it's gonna make that stretch in your hip and in your knee a little bit easier. You may notice a big difference between your sides, especially in hip stretches, but in all your stretches, that's okay. None of us are even from side to side. Once your lower body is stable again here, if you have some more space to move deeper into the stretch, you are welcome to do that. All right, we'll come back upright. Move the blocks off to the side if you're using them. Plant the hands on the mat. We're gonna tuck those right toes, lift that right knee, lift the hips up slightly, draw the left leg into the chest, and then step back to plank or half plank. Move through a vinyasa. So exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And we'll all exhale, meet in child's pose. So keeping the knees on the mat, shifting the hips back. Forehead finds the mat, taking a few deep breaths here. All right, from here, pressing yourself back up to all fours, we're going to lay down on our back. So I like to swing my legs around to the side, come through to seated, kind of scooch around, and then lay back. So just like I gave you an option for a seated pigeon pose, we're now gonna actually do it from laying down on our backs. So same stretch, just a bit of a different position. So we'll start by kicking that right leg up towards the sky, bend the right knee, and then hook the right ankle on the left knee. So you're making kind of a figure four shape here. Reach with your hands to either grab the left thigh behind the knee or maybe all the way through to that shin, drawing this front leg in towards your chest. So reclined here, I'd like you to try to keep engagement through this leg. So if you can see, I'm pulling my right toes towards my knee, and that's helping me engage throughout that leg as I then use my arms to pull the leg deeper towards my chest. All right, we're gonna release that. So unhook that right leg and we'll move to the left side. So kick the left leg up, bend at the knee, hook the left ankle on the right knee, and then reach for either the back of the right thigh or all the way through to that right shin. Keeping the left foot flexed as you pull, you use your arms here to pull yourself deeper into the stretch. One more nice deep breath here. All right, you can release that leg. Just draw both knees into your chest. Give them a nice tight squeeze. You can rock side to side a little bit if that feels good. Or maybe make some circles with your knees. And then from here, we'll roll onto our right-hand side and press ourselves up to a seated position. So coming to that comfortable seated position, hands can just rest on your knees. We'll all close our eyes and we'll just take a few deep breaths together. Thank you for joining me today for this lower body flow. I hope you enjoyed it.